my role this morning is to report to you on one dimension of the work of the Administration Committee, and that is the, if you will, the group that oversees the regulations and that oversees any recommendations for changes. And so my report this morning will deal with that. The report that you have on the table summarizes our deliberations on Monday, and I use the word summarize because I'm going to show you some of the detail we covered in that report. And the report you have in front of you is chronological. That's how we conducted the meeting on Monday afternoon. I've changed that order to prioritize, in my opinion, and I think the group's opinion, the most important resolution that came forward. And that is the one on the National Clergy Lady Congress and the proposal to move it to a 3-year schedule. We're going to cover all of those, but we're going to focus on that one first. Let me just remind you about our work in between clergy ladies. We gather the proposed amendments from both the Metropolis Clergy Lady Assemblies and the Council. We identify the ones that need to be referred to departments for work. We discuss and voted, vote in quotes, at the committee meeting on Monday, and basically we're making a recommendation, but the voting is going to be done here. We're bringing to you the proposed amendments for discussion and vote, and you are the determining body for the resolution of each of these proposals. Once approved, those that are approved will then be sent to the Patriarchate, and after their approval, they'll be put officially into the regulations. Okay. The one that dominated our meeting, and I think will dominate this, is the resolution that comes from the Boston Metropolis Local Assembly, the Denver Metropolis Local Assembly, and the New Jersey Metropolis Council, which is a proposal that the National Clergy Lady Congress be convened every 3 years. Just as a reminder, and this is in your binder in the regulations section, the regulations call for holding this Congress biennially, convened by the Archbishop, or in special session as he may determine. Section 2 says that except for dogmatic and canonical matters, the Congress is concerned with all other matters which affect the life, mission, growth, and unity of the Archdiocese, and especially the uniform administration of the Archdiocesan District, the metropolises, and the parishes. It is also concerned with the educational programs, financial programs, and philanthropic concerns of the Archdiocese, as well as the participation and role of the Archdiocese in the life of America. The Congress makes such decisions as it deems appropriate. And the other part of that section that's really critical here is that the Congress is a legislative instrument of governments in the Archdiocese. So, we're going to discuss that first proposal. I want to take a few minutes to set a backdrop for you, and then we will open it up. First, as you look at the history of the Clergy Lady Congresses, the first one was in 1921 in New York. Starting with the 10th one in St. Louis in 1950, we began the 2-year cycle. We've had one Clergy Lady Congress outside of North America, and that was in 1968 in Athens. And then commencing with the ministry of His Eminence Archbishop Demetrius in Philadelphia, we've had them every 2 years starting from 2000. What about us here? I think you heard on Monday that we have 790 participants in the Clergy Lady Congress, 651 of which are delegates, both clergy and laity. There's some other members here. They represent 326 parishes. We have approximately 550 parishes in the United States. And then across the hall, there are 372 National Philoptochos delegates. We show you just a bit of history, the last 3 clergy ladies. We look at the number of parishes that were represented of those. And basically, we've been averaging 60% of the parishes come to the National Clergy Lady Congress. In getting ready for this meeting, and also to answer the question about effectiveness of the Clergy Lady Congresses, the Administration Committee prepared a questionnaire which was sent out electronically to all parishes, to their Archdiocesan mailing list, and to those who have come to prior meetings. And the questions related to the program, the location, the cost, and the frequency. And there were 2 sections in it that provided for optional comments to help us understand how to increase parish and delegate participation, how to add value to the program, and even some places to comment on affordability. There was also a question about the 3-year cycle. Let me summarize that input. I was able to get access to the site late last week, and what I'm showing you are the answers to the questions. There was a question that asked the participants not to identify themselves by name, but by their role, and you can see the respondees, 1,068 total, 15% of which are active parish priests, 43% of folks who are either currently on the parish council or have served before, and another 41% of just concerned parishioners who want us to give it their input. There was another question asked the responder to identify the size of their parish. I'm pleased with the fact that we had at least 16% from the parishes less than 100 families, and if you combine that with 200 families, 36% of those who responded were in parishes smaller than 200 families. As you might expect, the majority are in the 200 to 750 families. I mentioned 2 optional sections for comment. One was, if you are planning to attend the Congress here, why? And we had 419 comments to that. And the other was just a section that said other comments, without any prompting, hoping, of course, that they would talk about the Clergy Lady Congress. Let me summarize the responses. One question said, identify whether you've attended at least one of the last 3 Clergy Lady Congresses. And for me, the interesting response is the 47%, the 528 people who have not been here for the last 3 that wanted us to give us their input. Then we started to ask about the cycle. Question, I believe the current 2-year cycle for the National Clergy Lady Congress is useful and cost-effective. All the questions from this point forward had 5 choices, and you can see them summarized on the bottom, from strongly agree all the way over to strongly disagree. I would make this comment that came out of the session on Monday, that the question was perhaps confusing because it bundled cost and effectiveness. That's a fair observation. We didn't go to a survey outfit. The administration committee spent about 2.5 months on this, and we thought by lumping cost and effect, we would get an answer. I can tell you, when you look at the comments, you begin to see the separation in the answer between cost and effectiveness. But that's the first. You see that the summary that supports staying at 2 years is about 34% of the respondents, a very high number that are neutral, and then 37% that do not. The other side of that question or that thought is, I believe that changing the current time cycle and going to a 3-year cycle for the National Clergy Lady Congress would be useful and cost-effective. Now you do get a bit of a spike. 51% support that. Fewer are neutral, yet 30% say we don't agree. Then we talked about when. There was a question that asked, should the Congress be held during the summer from June to August? 56% agree, 18% do not, and there's still a rather large number of neutral. The other timeline question was, what about doing it in the fall, from September to November? And you can see the sharp drop in the agreement, 27%, with a very high percentage of disagreeing. We believe that's because summertime is vacation time, there aren't obligations with children and all at home, and so it's probably an easier time to come to one of these, and perhaps also to come and spend some personal time after. We then asked a question about the format. Should the format remain for 4 days? 46% say yes, 26% say no, and you'll see when we get into the comments, there's some real thoughtful response to whether 4 days or longer makes sense. From a cost factor, for sure, 4 days or less makes sense. Now, the cost questions. Cost has been a factor in getting delegates from my parish to attend the National Clergy Lady Congress. 76% say that. I learned that in some of the parishes, besides paying the expenses of the priest, they also pay at least the registration fee of the lay delegates. Some pay all of the expenses. But for the most part, the delegates pay at least their hotel and travel expense. And again, you see the cost of hotel and travel make it difficult for me to attend the National Clergy Lady Congress. We're up close to 57%, where cost is a real factor. This is just on the registration question. I would attend if it was less expensive. Now, 3 very important questions regarding the program. An important role of the National Clergy Lady Congress is to deliberate on and evaluate ongoing and proposed new strategies for the Archdiocese national ministries. Bullseye, 84%. Most people would attend the National Clergy Lady Congress if there were increased focus on helping parishes to succeed. You can see it, 87%. Attendance at the National Clergy Lady Congress would increase if the focus was strictly on Archdiocesan business and legislation. I'm glad to see that there are 11% lawyers that have answered this question, but the majority of the folks don't think that's the main reason we come. It's a necessary responsibility, and we're doing that in this meeting right now, but there are other reasons for people coming together. There should be more events, tours, and other activities at the National Clergy Lady Congress for delegates' families, and I think that ties back to the summer versus the other times. Rather significant, too. I would be more likely to attend the National Clergy Lady Congress if I knew I would leave motivated and enthused to do Christ's work. Amen. 87%. There's no doubt about that. All right, I'd now like to, quickly, because I'm going to read them, summarize some of the comments. And I do that to sort of set the table for discussion for you. Remember, there were 2 questions. One was, if you're planning to come, why? There are about 5 slides or 4. I'll read them quickly. I have done nothing other than edit the typos. These are the words exactly as submitted. I've been to 3 diocese congresses and found them useful and informative. I wanted to go to the national to see how the information obtained would help my parish. I'm also going because past lady delegates have not shared the information obtained with the parish or even the ministries. I felt I needed to go to get that information and pass it on to the ministry leaders. By the way, the capitals on the next one were right from the respondent. I still believe that the Holy Spirit guides the church, and we collectively, clergy and laity, can make a difference for the good and growth of our church in America. I believe that the Congress inspires and motivates people to do more of Christ's work. I'm going because I enjoy learning what is going on in other parishes and feeling a connection to the Archdiocese. I'm going to the Clergy Lady because it reassures me that my parish is part of a much larger Greek Orthodox community with national and international vision and ministries. As a small parish delegate, I experience great comfort in having a part of the apostolic mission of the church and the deliberations in the Congress. I go to this event to learn more of what is on the minds of the attendees, as it is usually the path followed by the church. Also, it is most important that the laity remain a power and influence for the structure of our church. The best we can do is stay involved. My first opportunity, I am involved in a number of ministries at our church, and I am on the parish council. I'm hoping to come away with new ideas from other parishes for these and other ministries to increase our outreach, considering the ways of getting things done. I'm very cognizant of this light, gang, and of the time. I will just flash through and maybe read a couple more. I do think it's important that we hear just a few more. To represent the parish and bring back ideas for its growth and development, to participate in the ongoing development of our church in America. Our parish is trying to focus on bringing back our members to the church and growing our new members. We need new ideas and strategies to make this happen. I believe the Congress will make it very official. I appreciate the privilege to represent and learn for my community. I have never had the opportunity to attend prior to this coming event. I pray for God's wisdom so we can better serve. And the last one kind of is reassuring. We came because our bishop told us to. Thank you very much, Your Eminence, whoever did that. All right, let me now move. I need a couple of minutes, okay? Now, these are the comments that had no limit, in terms of what they wanted to talk about. Let's work on making our biannual meetings more efficient, focused, parish-oriented, and cost-conscious, rather than making the only national church gathering left in the life of the Archdiocese every 3 years. It's simply too far apart to preserve the unity of the life of the Archdiocese. We need to... We need to analyze how we can help our church on the parish level. We need to figure out why membership I must say, in several churches is decreasing. The hierarchs need to conduct their business before the Clergy Lady Congress. There's a great need for open dialogue to discuss issues facing the church today. Bring back the National YL Conference at these Clergy Lady Congresses. The youth are the future of our church, and they need to be involved here. Those who were at YL in the past are now the leaders in their churches today. Agenda items should not be discussed in secret. The Congress should be an open forum where issues can be discussed. The meeting should not be manipulated to block discussion, which in the long run will be helpful to the leadership. Be open and listen. Financial disclosure is the point of that second one. Not much information is given out about this Congress. It doesn't seem like it is open to all parishioners. I think better communication about this Congress would help improve attendance. Also, having activities for families would boost things as well. I am going to move to the end. Length of time is important. Shortening the time would not allow enough time to meet for Archdiocese business and to meet and greet other members, to share ideas and form relationships that will help strengthen our bond as Orthodox Christians. That's it. We will make it available to everybody. I now want to summarize what took place on Monday. We met, we had 40 delegates. The 3-year proposal was discussed. A proposed transition plan was reviewed, and the resolution was amended with the transition plan attached to it. A vote was taken on that, and it was 17 yes and 12 no. So you can see it was very small, doesn't represent the 650 that are in this room. No, before we get to discussion, let me review what that transition plan is, because it is attached to the proposal that we're going to discuss. It says, if the proposal to convene the National Clergy Lady Congress every 3 years is approved, the following transition plan is recommended. 1, we proceed with the plan for 2014. And then we proceed with the plan for 2017, meaning we will begin the 3-year process, if it's approved, with the 2017 Clergy Lady. We will use the next 2 years, which is item number 3, to develop a plan for each item that must change when we go to 3 years. This includes, not restricted to these, but just includes a 3-year budget cycle, new Archdiocesan Council and Metropolis Council membership cycle, a uniform schedule for the Metropolis assemblies that take place in between, and a new schedule for the National Orthodox Congress. Finally, we need to review the feedback, and we are going to ask you for feedback, and regardless of the frequency, create an enhanced program for the National Clergy Lady Congress. This is now ready for discussion. In order to do that, I need a motion to accept, or I guess to approve, the resolution of the 3 years with the transition plan. Do I hear a second? You want to take it over?
All those in favor of the 3-year Congress, please stand. We need a count. Now, we need a count. Tony?
Do it the other way around.
No, we good. Jerry, can you count? Please stand if you're in favor of the 3 years. I know. I know. We're going to have a count. All right. We're doing it, please. Do we have the count? All right, Jerry, how many? Six, okay. All those against the motion to have a 3-year, please stand. Uh, are we going to do a count? I think it's obvious that the majority is opposed to this unless someone wants to count. The motion fails.